Welcome back to 40 Days with Henri, our journey through the season of Lent. Again, if you don't have the book with you, we are using Bread for the Journey, which is one of the last books that Nouwen was writing and working on in his final year of his life. And if you read his journal of his sabbatical year, he talks often about how he sat down to write these devotions. This was published in 1996, and he died in 1996. So his passage today is called Reflecting God's Perfect Love. Henri writes, God's love for us is everlasting. That means that God's love for us existed before we were born and will exist after we have died. It is an eternal love in which we are embraced. Living a spiritual life calls us to claim that eternal love for ourselves so that we can live our temporal loves for parents, brothers, sisters, teachers, friends, spouses, and all people who come part of our lives as reflections or refractions of God's eternal love. No fathers or mothers can love their children perfectly. No husbands or wives can love each other with unlimited love. There is no human love that is not broken somewhere. When our broken love is the only love that we have, or the only love that we can have, we are easily thrown into despair. But when we can live our broken love as a partial reflection of God's perfect, unconditional love, we can forgive one another our limitations and enjoy together the love we have to offer. So a lot packed into this verse, or into this passage. And I think this is probably actually really quite personal to Nouwen. If you know Nouwen's life, Nouwen was so needy for love in his life. And he could be quite taxing on his relationship, and that eventually that led to kind of a breakdown. And he had to go get some healing for that because he so viscerally wanted to be accepted and to be loved that he claimed that so viscerally that it kind of drew people away. And some of it, I think, was a little bit of his disconnection with his family. Sometimes he talks about that, particularly with his father. He talks about that in the sabbatical journey a little bit, although at the end of his life, that became kind of a healed relationship. And so Nouwen knew very, very well the brokenness of human love, and in some sense, the insufficiency of human love. The insufficiency of what he received, because he would often get so angry if nobody wrote to him or visited him or something like that. But he also knew the insufficiency of his own love, which too often kind of just pushed people away. And so I like that he says, living the spiritual life calls us to claim the eternal love for ourselves. It calls us to claim this fact that no matter how broken or imperfect we are, that God's love for us surrounds us. And it is not taken away because it existed before we were born. If God's love for us was given to us even before we did anything, then it's not based on merit or perfection or deserve. It is based on God's willingness to love us. And yet that calls us, when we embrace that love, that calls us then to try to live that out to others. So we don't get to sit back in our private spiritual caves and just bask in how loved we are. No, we are called to live that out to others. And so often in our reflections, when we talk about that, we can unwittingly, I think, kind of put forward a sense of perfection. Right? Oh, we just live out God's love, and that's the call of the Christian life and all that kind of stuff. And so I really like that even after talking about that we reflect and we refract God's eternal love in this world, which is beautiful and glorious that he then still says that we offer that in broken ways, that we are broken people, and we offer a broken love because fathers and mothers can never love their children perfectly, and husbands and wives can never love their spouses in some sort of unlimited way. We can never love our friends exactly as perfectly as they might need. And so what we need to do then is not try to combat our brokenness, but recognize that it is not in and of itself. It is set within a larger context. So when our broken love is the only love that we can offer, and when we see it as entirely sitting within itself, then those broken places, those imperfections, they're going to cause us to anger and despair as it caused Nouwen. One of the things that Nouwen says is that we need to forgive each other for not being Jesus, right? Because only Jesus can love us perfectly. And so what he wants to do is recognize that our imperfect love is actually set within the larger context of God's love. And so when we're loving our children or spouses or our friends or our neighbors or our enemies, we're not seeing it as something that I have to do perfectly, but as imperfectly as I can, I am entering into that perfect love of Jesus that only Jesus can give. And so what that does is then that frees us. It frees us to enjoy together the love that we offer as whatever that might be, but also the love that we receive in Jesus. So I think that this is really just kind of a profound passage, and one that I'm going to return to and read again because, like I said, I think there's a lot in there. And so I just commit that to you, that maybe as you go through the day, if you have the book with you, just keep it open. And every once in a while, when that imperfect love rears its head and you are tempted to just get angry or despair or whatever that might be, read this passage and dare to see that imperfect love as part of the wider whole of God's perfect love for you. Well, God bless you as you continue on in your journey of Lent, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.